आपादमौलिपर्यन्तां गुरूणाम् आकृतिं स्मरेत् तेन विघ्नं प्रणश्यन्ति सिद्धन्ति च मनोरथः लक्ष्मीं तनोतु नितरामितरानपेक्षमं गृध्वयं निगमशाखिशिखाप्रवालं हैरम्बम् अम्बुरोहडम्बरचौर्यनिघ्नं विघ्नाद्रिभेदशतधारधुरन्धरन्नः हरि ओम सर्वेषां स्वागतम्. So welcome to the Bhāvārtha session for the 14th shloka. So we have studied the Purva Pakshavada that comes from shlokas 11 to 13. This was just a statement or paraphrasal of what the objection to Rama's solution was. Now in the 14th one, it is the rebuttal. So this is the Purva Paksha Khandana. So the verse goes as केचिद्वदन्तीति वितर्कवादिनः तदप्यसदृष्टविरोधकारणात् देहाभिमानादभिवर्धते क्रिया विद्यागताहङ्कृतितः प्रसिद्ध्यति. Again, केचिद्वदन्तीति वितर्कवादिनः तदप्यसदृष्टविरोधकारणात् देहाभिमानादभिवर्धते क्रिया विद्यागताहङ्कृतितः प्रसिद्ध्यति. So kechid vadanti iti vitarkavadinah. Here vitarkavadinah means people who are using logic the wrong way, erroneous logic. So why does he term them that way? We will understand it. Vitarkavad. Now he is terming the people who made the objection as vitarkavadinah. That means their tarka, application of tarka is not right. That is what is the intention. So kechid, some, kechid vadanti iti, this argument that was stated, that is actually objected to by some people who use logic the wrong way. Tad api asat, tad api tadyapi tadapya, sorry, tad api tadapya sadrishta asat. This is asat adrishta. So the words are tat api asat drishta virodha karanat, which means drishta virodha karanat, because of the obvious contradiction that we see, that it is very obvious, they are not considering it, that's all. So drishta virodha karanat, it is asat. That means the connection that they have said, like in a Vaidika Kriya, Satkarya, there are different elements. You just not need the adhikari, you need the elements also, that is yajna, samid, havis, everything you need. So like that, jnana and karma are elements to reach a particular state. That means to attain liberation, everything are a part of it. So therefore, it is not exclusive. Jnana is not exclusive, but karma gives that sayoga. That is what the vitarkavadinaha or the Purva Pakshavadins, they are stating. So for that he says it is tad api, the vitarkavadinaha, they are not seeing the most obvious of the contradictions, virodha karanat. So tad api asat drishta virodha karanat. The karana that is obviously making this argument weak or applying logic in the erroneous way, they are not looking at it. Why is that? What is that obvious thing? First of all, when we started with the Upadesha, what were we trying to address? We were trying to answer two things that Lakshmana asked. First one was Bhavapavargaha. I want to get detached from the world. That is samsara, maya. Second was, I want to cross the ocean of ignorance, endless, shoreless ocean. So it is tarishyami. I want to cross it. So give me an easy way for both these things, for me to detach myself from the material world, and for a way to cross the ocean of ignorance. Give me a comfortable and a quick way. That is what he asked. So for that, Rama, he mentions, look, first what you have to do is you have to complete your karmas. After you complete your karmas, you have to give up your karmas. After you give up your karmas, then what happens? Then you achieve a certain stability of mind. After you achieve a certain stability of mind, then you look for a guru. So when you reach a guru, that is when you are eligible to get this particular vidya. What is this vidya? Sannyasa, we can say, or jnana, atmabodha, we can say. Different names exist. So for us, that is the answer to this endless ocean of ignorance. That is the way how we can cross that shoreless ocean of ignorance, and we can get detached from the material world. For his, he explains his logic, he explains his solution of giving up karma. Why karma needs to be given up, he explains. He says that karma has this problem of working like a chakravatiriyate. So what happens is, why I should give up karma? Because karma leads to priya priya, certain kind of desires. Obviously, because any karma that we do has some kind of expectation from it. Karma phala is apekshitah. So therefore, once I do a karma, I have a apeksha from it. Therefore, there is priya priya, desirable action. There is something that I want from it, karma phala. That leads to dharma and adharma. That leads to some kind of dharma and adharma. What are those dharma and adharma? The expectation develops into that control, trying to control the outcome, which is not the point of it, which we can never be free from. Therefore, we need to be away from it, and that leads to Arishad Vargas. Therefore, that dharma, adharma, also it leads us to further action. That action further leads to another sharira. That sharira again leads to more karma. That again leads to priya and apriya, the desirous expectations, and that leads to another dharma and adharma. Like this, it works in a wheel-like, a cycle-like fashion. So, because of that, we need to give up the kriyas, karmas, Vaidika kriyas. Oh, we need to give it up. This is what his argument was. And there was a objection recorded which said that how can kriyas be a badhaka to attaining this knowledge? The knowledge of Atmabodha or the true jnana, they are not denying it. They are saying it will definitely get us through that, get us through the ocean of ignorance, and then it will definitely get us detached from the material world. But to attain that particular knowledge, the Purva Paksha Vada is that what is the necessity of giving up karma? Because where is it stated that jnana is the path to liberation? The Vedas. The Vedas also mention the kriyas also, no, the karmas also. So in that sense, we should give them equal weightage. That is their argument. And in fact, it is also stated that if we do not perform our karmas, then it will incur sin. It is compulsory, it is not optional. So when the thought, when the instruction from the Vedas regarding karma is so strict, then how can we give up the karmas? This is what the thought of Purva Pakshavada is. So in this, Rama is trying to rebuttal it. He says, Kechid vadanti iti vitarkavadinaha. They are not, whatever they are saying is not false. This is something that we need to note. Rama is not denying that the Vedas also mention the prominence given to the Vaidika Kriyas. He says the logic has been applied in a wrong manner. Kechid vadanti iti. Some people say this, but they have vitarka, they have used tarka in the wrong way because they are not seeing the obvious contradiction over here. What is the obvious contradiction? The obvious contradiction is our ultimate goal is to attain detachment from the material world. That is, the bhavapavarga can only happen when I attain detachment from the material, from samsara. It has to happen. But kriyas bring about dehabhimana. That means the aham bhava, it vriddhi, it increases. Any kriya that I do, any kind of expectation that I have, it brings about the notion that I am the doer. So when I do a particular karma, when I do a particular kriya, after that I have to expect some karma phala out of it, and I try to get the exact same karma phala. Like for example, let us say we've got our test papers back, we've been marked, and we've got some 98%. We wanted 100%. So now what we are going to do to reach that, we are trying to argue. We are trying to say, I want marks over here, this is correct, that this that, etc., etc. So what is happening over here? The same thing again as Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. So because I am fixating to that particular notion that this is the exact karma phala that I needed, I am only going to work towards that. I become less accepting towards what I have got. So Ishvara Prasada Bhavana is gone. So that is one of the reasons why we develop attachment to it. So Dehabhimana Abhivardate Kriya. So what does the Kriya do? Kriya actually increases our attachment to action. And it brings about ego, which says that I am the doer. What happens is when we look at the karma phala, deliverance of karma phala, there are different elements associated with it. That means the associate, what is from my end is around 50%. What is from the other end is 50%, let us say. So whereas when we look at the reasons, there is vyakta karana and avyakta karana. Vyakta karana are my intentions. That is, let us say, my sankalpa, my yogyata, my performance, my kriya, my actual kriya. So when I have the sankalpa, when I make a sankalpa that I am going to complete this task today, this is my resolution. Then what I'm going to do, I need to have yogyata. I need to be eligible. I cannot say that I'm going to become a CA without taking the exams. I have to pass those exams. So that means that I should have actually read through the material, and then I get that yogyata. So yogyata is important. Then follow up. What is the most important thing? The kriya. I have to go and sit for the exam. Therefore, what happens? These three things are within my control. So that is good. But what happens? There is the other end of it. Gahana karmano gati. The other part of it. What is the other things? That is avyakta karanas. Avyakta karanas is desha kala patra, which is not decided by me. Desha is the regional or geographical relevance. So there are trends where at some point of time certain kind of jobs become more relevant, they come into fashion. So it may not be computer engineers, software engineers were in fashion at some point of time. MBA graduates were in fashion at some point of time. Engineers. So they don't go out of relevance, they come into fashion at some point of time. So what happens is when a certain trend has caught up, then it becomes relevant, where everybody starts taking that particular kriya, everybody starts to anusarati, they start following it. Then what happens? Competition increases. Like everybody are going for their JEE, everything like that. So at that point of time, basic economics is that the supply is not going to change. Demand might fluctuate, but unless there is a huge change in the system, the supply is not going to change. So if there are only 60,000 seats, for example, there are 1 lakh seats in UG NEET exam, 10 lakh people were taking the exam. Obviously, regardless of how well they have done, there cannot be a change in the number of seats distributed. That's not going to happen. If it comes into trend and more people start to compete, it just gets difficult. That's all. Because there are not enough seats to accommodate all of them. So here, that Desha, Kala, and Patra. Kala is time relevance. Patra is what is the relevance of your part in it. I may have read extremely well, but why didn't I get a seat? Maybe there is somebody else who's studying for that, maybe from 2 3 years. It's not that my efforts were less. It's that somebody else's efforts were more. So my relevance, my participation, the relevance of my participation, the amount of my participation also matters. So this Deshakala Patra is not decided by me. It's not up to me. Because of this reason, at least 50%, not even it is the minimum amount of condition that we can give, which can bring about um, uh, which can make the outcome probable or improbable. So this we cannot ignore. When a kriya is done and when we get the karma phala, when we enjoy the karma phala, then we start thinking of the karma phala, we start thinking about ourselves as the doer, which is wrong. We did do the kriyas, but there is a prerana for that. There is a akhyata for that. There is a many other things are involved even for me to do it. After I've done it also, the karma has to go through certain channels. After, and it has to stay that Deshakala Patra, it has to stay relevant across these three planes, and then it has to come back to me. Therefore, I am not the doer. I'm being helped into doing things, or I'm being pushed into doing things. So Sarva Karma Prerakaha Shirabdhishai, when we do our Sandhya Vandanam also, we say that. So he has to give us that prerana. So that there is a higher power, the thought that there is a higher power, it becomes very nimna, it becomes very small if we start developing Dehabhimana. Which means we start thinking that whatever is this samsara, that itself is the real world, because that is where whatever we are seeing, it is abiding our karma phala, our expectations. So therefore, Dehabhimana Abhivardate Kriya. This obvious contradiction is overlooked. In the Vedas, there is no argument against the fact that Kriya is mentioned in the Vedas also. There is no argument that the Vedas also strictly mandate certain kriyas. There is no argument against the fact that if kriyas are not completed or not performed, it incurs sin. These facts are there in the Vedas. Vaidika kriyas are important. But the overlap of jnana and karma has not been mentioned anywhere, which means it does not necessarily mean that when the jnana phase, that is the jnana kanda, is we are progressing towards the true jnana, the karma must also stay relevant. In fact, that is the point of it. When the karma is happening or not happening, we incur sins, papa and punya. The point of jnana is to realize that both papa and punya does not mean anything to me. When we talk about the Shat Sampat, we have to think about the two extremes. Like, for example, there is something called as Titikshatva. At that point of time, heat and cold, both of them must be treated equally. I must not be affected by it. So we are reaching that state of mind. For us to reach that state of mind, it must be obvious that papa punya, incurring papa and or gaining punya must not mean anything to me. So therefore, I need to understand the obvious contradiction in the nature, that even though the Vedas mandate the kriyas also, then and also mentions the jnana, when we go to the jnana phase, karmas must be given up. There is no mandate, there is no clarity as to how long we should do our Vaidika Kriyas. But it is mentioned that when we do it, we incur punya, otherwise, the papa, all those things are there. But the point of jnana is to understand that the reality of Brahman is above these things. It is gunatita. That means there is no papa punya when we reach the state of Brahma jnana. When we are students of Brahma jnana, trying to achieve that, trying to meditate on the Mahavakyas, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. So when we are thinking about those things, then there is no place for us to think, oh, if I don't do this, then I'll incur something might happen to me. Then if we have those kind of fears, then we are not ready for Atmabodha. That is the reason the true nature of detachment can only occur if we give up the kriyas. We have to give up the kriyas. So this contradiction, this obvious contradiction of kriyas bringing about a change which is contradictory to learning the jnana is overseen or is not properly checked or parishilana. They have not, the Vitarkavadinaha, they have not exactly looked at that part of it. Therefore, Rama says, Dehabhimana abhivardate kriyam vidya gatahankara kritita prasidhyati. So what happens? Vidya. Vidya is jnana. Okay. So jnana, what happens is the knowledge gata ahankrititaha. Ahankrititaha is aham bhava. Ahankrititaha aham krititaha. So it means it means elimination of ego. The vidya, it eliminates gata ahankrititaha. So that it is it prasidhyati is to accomplish. Aham krititaha, that it is the kritihi is what I have done. Krititaha is what I have done. Aham krititaha is the opposite of that, which means elimination of that aham bhava. So that aham bhava, gata aham krititaha, that means gata means to eliminate. Aham krititaha is the bhavana that I did it. I am the doer. So the gata aham krititaha. So this part, aham krititaha means aham bhava, I did it. Gata ahankrititaha means to eliminate that sense of aham bhava. Vidya helps us to bring about this elimination of aham bhava. That is the achievement, that is the prasidhyati. What does Vidya do? Vidya helps us to reduce the aham bhava or eliminate the aham bhava. Therefore, dehabhimanad abhivardate kriya vidya gatahankritita prasidhyati. They are mentioning the nature of karma and that is kriya and vidya over here. The nature are totally opposite. They don't have any overlap. If they overlap, then they don't serve each other's purpose. Kriya may serve its purpose, but vidya will never serve its purpose, because the point of vidya is to realize that we have the Brahman Tattva, and then we have to be away from all the manifested things. Therefore, that is not possible. This is primarily the philosophy of Advaita Sampradaya. So it is based on that. So this is the Bhāvārtha for the 14th shloka of Sri Rama Gita. So we'll end the session. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः प्रतिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीषा गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि।